Blizzard might be working on some AA games, and one of them could be Overwatch themed. Let's have a look. Blizzard made a name for itself by making genre-defining titles. Games that shook the genre. Games that stood out head and shoulders above all of their competitors. The problem was it always took them ages to develop those games. In some cases, literally a decade. And that was because they wanted to get all those games to that Blizzard level. Now, 10 to 50 years ago, they got away with that really slow cycle. They were one of the biggest developers. There were not that many games. And people gladly waited that long because they know it was going to be good. Lately, that has changed. For one, they didn't always hit that Blizzard quality for the last 3 years. But the development cycle for those Blizzard games is still insanely long. And why that is a different story, a long story. Let's just say that beyond their lofty goals, Blizzard is also known to be a little indecisive at times. They tend to hold on to projects. They have a difficult time to kill their proverbial darlings, as they say in the industry. They don't like to make unpopular calls, both externally and internally. And within such a cycle, they can often do a reset and start all over again. A few times even. At least that's what I've been hearing throughout the years. Since last year, however, they have new owners. Microsoft, Xbox. And yeah, Microsoft tends to be hands-off in their management in general. But according to some sources, Microsoft has been pushing Blizzard to deliver faster. They want to see a return on that huge investment that they did a little faster than Blizzard is used to. On top of that, there's a lot of industry-wide concerns about the ballooning costs of AAA titles. So a lot of these developers are trying to steer away from that, looking at alternative ways of making games. And that includes Microsoft and Blizzard. On the other hand, Microsoft understands really well that the one thing they cannot sacrifice for that speed is quality. I mean, you're totally right when you're critical about some of the stuff they have been doing, but you can tell that that is still in their DNA, that the ambition is still there, that their goal is still to be that studio that delivers those games that stand out head and shoulders. In other words, not all hope is lost. And you can see that with the Warcraft team, for instance. They have expanded their team, they have reorganized, they plan ahead 5 years in advance now. They did a ton of things that currently help them to develop their expansions way faster than they ever did before, without impacting the quality of the content. At least that is their goal. We can see in a few years after these expansions if that worked out or not. And you know what? That's one way to go. Expand your team, reorganize. The thing is, of course, that World of Warcraft still brings in a ton of money. Even when it was not doing that great, it still made enough money. So they can afford this strategy of growth reorganizing. But that's not the case for all the Blizzard games, like Overwatch, for instance. But there are other ways of doing something like this. Microsoft, for instance, has taken a group of people, a team, and most of these people used to work for King, the mobile developer within Activision Blizzard. They tasked that team to split up and make lower budget games, but within the existing IPs that Blizzard owns. So that includes World of Warcraft, StarCraft, Heroes of the Storm, and Overwatch. And those are going to be AA games, which are games that can usually be made within 2 years. Could be less, could be a little more. And they generally bring an experience that is not as big as the AAA games, but that says nothing about the quality of those games. Some AA games are way more fun than 80% or 90% of the AAA games. And look, this is not something new for Blizzard. There have been rumors or chatter that there is an AA style team within Blizzard, and that has been there for years. But I think in general, their work often was to prototype these ideas and then escalate them to AAA teams, to the big teams. It was more of a prototyping deal. This time around, the idea is that those teams can actually deliver on the product themselves. Force Gaming, a YouTube channel that I watch that follows Blizzard pretty closely, gave Plunderstorm as an example of what that could look like. Plunderstorm was a standalone mode within World of Warcraft. You did not have to have the game installed to play it. It was a different installer, but it was connected to your Warcraft account. And it was a limited time mode, and basically their vision on a battle royale. I sadly didn't play it myself, but from what I've heard, it was a ton of fun, and it was pretty popular. It even got some people that were never interested in World of Warcraft to try it out. And the thing is that that game or that mode actually just used the engine, the art, the characters that were already in World of Warcraft. They did not need to develop a lot on top of that. They remixed the ingredients and made something new. They could do something similar in Overwatch. And don't go for the idea of a mobile port of Overwatch. I don't think that is what they want to achieve. It needs to be something broader, something different. And what I personally would look at are all of the custom games that creators have been making within Overwatch. There's this one mode that is basically Among Us set in Overwatch. They could also do something with a Tracer racing game, so Kiriko can finally show off her bike. And what if they take a concept like Jedi Hunt and expand on that? More variations, do more tuning, kind of make it more interesting as a separate game. I mean, One Dad versus 11 Children is one of the most popular custom game modes out there. And they could also, yeah, here I go again, they could go and look at the archives missions. My point just being that there's a ton of options. There's a ton of new directions that they could explore for a different game set within the Overwatch universe that also would help them to further the story within Overwatch. I actually have a video coming up next week about ways that they can tell the Overwatch stories without the whole of PvE. So if you want to see that, make sure to subscribe. But this could be exciting, guys. And you know what? The best thing is, if they move forward with this, they could get it done in just a few years. Wouldn't have to wait 7 or 8 years for anything to come out. Because that is the idea behind all of these smaller teams. And they could even kind of connect it with the main game and do shared events. Have your cosmetics run over from one to the other. Maybe you can earn the same currencies in both games. And in the end, we would all win. But for now, that was it. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. It always helps me out. I also want to thank my patrons. I could not make these videos without you guys. You have my eternal gratitude. If you have a few minutes left, maybe check out this video. Click it. But above all, take care of yourself, take care of each other. Bye-bye.